Hello and welcome into the Sporting Pod. Along with Emerson Burris and Tony Allegretti and Mauricio Ruiz, I'm Cole Pemper. Coming up today on the pod, continuing Tony's British invasion. We'll check in with Big E.T. across the pond. Georgia Brown's international experience and what to expect from the USL Championship men's team next year. We are fed by the Bearded Pig, locally owned and operated with the original location in San Marco. Make sure you swing by the Bearded Pig for great barbecue and great times. Tony, where do we find you today?
Hey, Cole, I am in the village of Dunkeld, which does have a train station. It's right, actually, I'm at the dividing line of the Highlands and the Lowlands. There's a creek that I have to walk across basically daily. That is the divider, and it's very small. So it's like you have to really know, where you were to understand if you were in the Highlands or Low. So I'm in the Highlands.
Okay.
Of Scotland.
Yeah, very nice.
Just barely.
Excellent. Mauricio, of course, continues to join us from Portugal. So we have triangulated this thing. Tony, give me I want your update on what your activities have been over there in the UK.
Well, so for podcast purposes, the biggest one really since we last spoke, I went to Dundee United. I went to Tannadice, which is a really cool stadium. It's historic, and it's really kind of a Frankenstein of a stadium. Every time they sell a big player over the decades, they'll refurb an old stand, which is amazing. They've got an American ownership who I was blessed enough to meet, including both presidents of Dundee United and St. Mirren, who they played. Really good sort of hard-fought match, and the home team ended up winning 3-1 in the end. They put on a couple late goals. What I really kind of appreciated was when they tied the match, because St. Mirren was winning for a little while there. They were just like every throw-in took a half an hour. It's like, I was glad to see them equalize so that we could get the ball back on the field for a little bit. But very good soccer. I was sat next to a guy named Archie Knox. I will let you guys look up Archie Knox, but really an amazing time. I was a guest of the owner, but also of Scott Allison, who runs their academy in Dundee, and that was amazing. So another great W on the road, and tomorrow I start heading back your way.
All right, so that was Dundee United and St. Mirren in the Scottish Premier League. There's also Dundee, but a different club also in the Premier League.
Right next door.
Yeah. What have you taken away from your visits? Give me a 30,000-foot view. What has struck you about your visits to the many clubs and matches you've attended?
Well, I think one of the main things is just the passion. The cities and the towns are really hyper focused. It's ritualistic. It's every Saturday or whenever they play, and it's just such a decidedly important part of culture, and so I love that, and I love how even if your team doesn't win, you're still talking about them. You're talking about ways to improve. Everyone's talking this week about Brendan Rodgers' sort of shock resignation. So it's like in the States, we're around football people or soccer people so much. It's not everywhere. Here, it's everywhere. It's
Right.
like every conversation, which I love.
All right, let's move on. I want to remind you that the opportunity to get your tickets to the next Sporting Jacks home match are available right now. On November the 22nd, Sporting Jacks will face Fort Lauderdale United at Hodges Stadium on the UNF campus. For tickets, go to sportingjacks.com or call 904-863-KICK. Not too far from where Tony is now, Georgia Brown made her senior national team debut with Scotland. The Sporting Jacks center back had the opportunity to play about the final 10 minutes or so against Switzerland. She came on late. What an opportunity and what an experience. I saw some photos. Steve Livingstone's daughter was over at the match, and I got some pictures with Georgia holding up the Sporting Jacks flag as well. So, Mauricio, to have this kind of experience for Georgia, I'm sure she would have loved to have played more than she did, but to have that experience in training with the national team and to have gotten on the pitch against a very good Switzerland side, that's going to pay major dividends, I think, for her coming back here to Sporting Jacks.
Well, absolutely. I mean, that's what players dream for when they're playing, right? They want to play the possible or the highest possible level. And she's made a debut as a pro this year with Sporting Jacks, and then that has led her into a call up with their senior national team in Scotland, which she's made appearances with the under 20 before, or the under 23, but never with the senior national team. I mean, that's a huge point of pride for her. So kudos to her and her commitment that we know that she has. That she's such a professional at a young age. But the benefit, as you mentioned, that is going to give her coming back into our environment. And she was already a player of importance to us. Luckily, she didn't miss any games due to the window. But she's going to come back, hopefully refreshed. It's actually a positive for us, Cole, because her not getting a lot of minutes didn't really risk maybe too much injury, a risk of injury. So she comes back having stepped on the field, having trained with top level players, representing her country, and just a little attribute she's going to gain from those tiny little side conversations or intensity of training. She's going to come back. I get the taste that's left in her mouth. It's going to bring her to a different level of performance and execution. So I'm excited to see her continued growth as a young professional.
The other player on international opportunity, Ashlyn Puerta, who at the age of 18 is the leading goal scorer in the Gainbridge Super League, in camp for the US U20s in Kansas City. They didn't have, I think the only match, they had a match scheduled against KC Current 2. But more notably, Emerson, there was another team in Kansas City this week and an opportunity for Ashlyn to have a little intermingling.
Yes, the U.S. women's national team. The first team was also in Kansas City, got to play last night at CPKC Stadium, which is the only stadium in the world specifically designed for women's sports. It is incredible. So, yeah, hopefully Emma Hayes got to see Ashlyn, and it kind of scares me. Maybe she won't be at Sporting Jacks for too long because she's so good and she's had amazing accolades. Like you said, she's the leading goal scorer in the league, but super happy for her and looking forward to talking with her sometime soon and hearing about the experience.
I hope two things for Ashlyn Puerta. Number one, I hope that she continues to play as well as she has for Sporting Jacks and becomes a major factor in a championship for the first-year club. And I also hope she has the opportunity to spread her wings from a soccer standpoint in the future, maybe after a championship. She has talked about, Tony, how Barcelona is sort of her dream team. She grew up watching, I say grew up, she's 18, still probably in the process of that in many ways, but she was a Barca fan. So I know she has, she wants to play at the highest level she possibly can. And we're just fortunate to be able to watch her do her thing for Sporting Jacks while she's here.
Absolutely. It's a gift. And I think you hit the nail on the head. Let's get her as many playoff and championship matches as we can on the run up to whatever's next, because we know that she's going to be playing at a real high level. And I don't think anybody who's ever watched her play would be surprised if she did end up in Camp Nou one day. Like that, she's that good.
No doubt about it. All right, let's we'll remind you that no Sporting Jacks report this weekend. We're recording this on Thursday, October 30th in the Gemstone Media Studios. So on Saturday at 6:30 a.m. on NBC 12, for those of you who are early risers or set your DVR or recording device, we will have the on-air debut of our documentary, The First Touch. That will air this weekend. Couple of reasons for that. One, with the game on Friday, we weren't going to be able to turn around by 6:30 a.m. the next day to have everything in place for that show. And also we figured, hey, let's give it some airtime to this fantastic documentary that follows Sporting Jacks from the arrival of the women's team and the first players arriving, getting ready for training camp, all the way up to kickoff of the first regular season game. I think you'll really enjoy it. So tune in Saturday morning at 6:30 a.m. for that one. Then you can join us every Tuesday at 6 for the Coaches Show on 1010XL. Stacey Balaam joins me, and we have a player in. Sophia Bowman was our guest this past week. Had a great conversation with Bo. And then the Sporting Jack Soccer Hour every Thursday night at 6 on AM 930, Fox Sports Radio Jacksonville. Mauricio, Emerson, Becky Burley join me every week, and we talk about all things Sporting Jacks in the world of soccer. Okay, let's now get into the meat of what I really want to talk about today. And that is the Sporting Jacks USL Championship men's team. As we are recording this, the press release is just about to go out detailing what Sporting Jacks will be doing moving forward. And if I may, let me just read you some of the highlights. Announcing today the return of men's pro soccer to Jacksonville for the first time since 2017. The confirmation today that Sporting Jacks will be competing in the USL Championship beginning play in March of 2026. We have known this, and we've kind of been hinting around about it, but the official announcement today, which also includes the relaunch of the ticket deposit campaign for those who want season tickets. Just $25 gets you season tickets, and gets you season tickets, saves your spot for season tickets. The schedule will come out here in another month or so. They're looking for an 18 home match regular season, and I can't wait for what's to come. Mauricio, you and I talked this week, for those who follow us on our YouTube channel, we did a little preview of the USL Championship playoffs, and we talked about the countdown to this or that. We're now 5 months away, less than 5 months away from the start of the 2026 USL Championship season that will include Sporting Jacks.
Well, I mean, that's it seems like there's a lot of things that we've been talking about the last couple of years that are starting to come into fruition. And, we had this idea of two professional teams in the First Coast, and we always wanted the women to lead. So to put a little bit of pressure on the men. And I think our women have done a great job of leading and really setting a standard that continues to go up every week. And now we're talking about adding the men's team to the equation. And I think we've laid out a really good foundation for what this should look like, not just as an organization, but roster building and coaching selection and pedigree of what we're looking for and how to represent our community. So that's a really exciting part. Now, the USL Championship, it's been around much longer. It's a higher degree of competition as it stands today. So it kind of bears that the focus on putting together a USL Championship men's roster, there's more information, right? Because there are more players that have been in the cycle, in the system around the league, and there have been more opportunities in the past. So just, it's part of the same image and brand and family, but he definitely has a different scope of reality because of where men's football have been compared to women's football. So it's going to be a nice little addition and problem for our organization to look forward to and start handling now.
Tony, we've talked about this before with the women. There are over 100 professional men's soccer teams in this country. So there are a lot more men's professional players in this country as a result. There are more teams in the USL Championship than there are in the Gainbridge Super League. In fact, there are more teams in the USL Championship than there are professional women's teams in the country. So certainly much more competitive in terms of competing for roster spots and so forth. But that being said, we've seen what Mark Warburton has done in terms of coaching hire, putting the roster together. It has been a tremendous start to the season for the Gainbridge Super League with Stacey Balaam and the squad. I'm looking forward to seeing what Mark's going to be able to put together here, because while he came in not really knowing the landscape of women's professional soccer in this country to the same extent as he does men's professional soccer, he's going to have, he is looking for specific traits and specific things that he knows. If I can find a player like this, that's a difference-making player for this team. I can't wait to learn about the new coach and also to learn about the kind of players that are going to be brought in here to represent Jacksonville.
Yeah, pressure's on. He's I think he's done a great job with the women's team and with Stacey. our gaffer, our head coach, is going to have a lot of influence. And so we haven't named that person yet. But I do know that Mark, this isn't like, the work starts now for Mark. He's been busting, really, working the phones and working the agents and working with players and working with managers. So it's going to be really interesting. I think it's going to be very collaborative. If the women's team was any indication, that he'll be working with his technical staff, to really, get us a first solid entry into the league.
Emerson, what are you looking forward to here with the men's team?
Well, I've said this before. When I came in May, when everything was finalizing for the women's side, I didn't really know what to expect, and I didn't know the process of the coach and then the players and training camp getting started, but now I do know that. So I think I'm just so much more excited for the men's side to get started because, there's so many moving pieces. We have the coach announcement coming soon, and then the players will start to get signed. So I know what to expect, and so I think it's just a higher level of excitement.
Yeah, on the coach, follow this space. We'll have more on that coming in the very near future, and that will really start the ball rolling in so many ways. Of course, with the end of the USL season, the USL Championship season, regular season, now you have a lot of players who are coming out of contract, and so it provides things to open up. Mauricio, because you are, scouting in Portugal, there are 7 international spots that can be filled for the USL Championship side. I'm gonna guess that many of those international spots will be English and Scottish because of Mark's familiarity with that area of geography and the connections. But really, you could be looking all around the globe for the international players. What about the domestic players? What in your mind is important in terms of filling this roster with domestic players?
Well, no, every league around the world, Cole, has its own little, tricks to the league, to the conference. You look at the U.S., just a vast geography. So you're going to have enough players within your roster build that know the league, that know the competition of the league, that know how to play in some of these away venues. That you still have a few that are kind of untraditional, unconventional in a way. So what you don't want to do, and I know Mark is a big proponent of not wanting to do the same old, right? So you don't want to fill a roster with a bunch of just USL Championship players that have been recycled through the league. So yeah, are you going to need some of them? Are a lot of the players going to come from the USL Championship? Yes, but as you said, Mark is not conventional in his way, and he's proven that with the women's roster build up. He's gonna go international, and he's gonna make sure that you're gonna have enough domestic players that are youth players, college players, but certainly USL caliber players that have already been battle tested, and then be creative with some young players that have potential to maybe have a sell on value, in the near future.
All right. The other, I mentioned earlier that you can put your $25 season ticket deposit down now. If you do so, you will get 2 free tickets to any home match for the Sporting Jacks Gamebridge Super League women's team. So great extra bonus there for that. There is a lot more to come in terms of the men's team here in the near future. Also, of course, looking forward to something in the new year in the way of stadium announcement. That's going to be exciting. And training camp opens in January. Regular season opens in March. We are just getting started on that front. Tony, this is the point of the podcast where we turn it over to you to break format.
Well, it's so interesting you say that because a big deer just ran by and caught my eye. So I took a picture. I'll zoom it over to you guys. Anyway, yeah. So one of the things I was going to say is, yes, Mark, I'm sure does have a good sort of understanding of the sort of pipeline of pro players here in England. But England is also the window to the world. I think less than 30% of the starters in the Prem right now are English. So you're literally getting to see the whole world here, and that's from the Premier all the way down. So that's cool. I'm so excited that this announcement is dropping. Will the podcast drop before the press release today?
No. The press release will be out.
Okay.
The press release goes out in about 5 minutes from when we're recording, and then the.
I just thought it'd be a nice Easter egg.
Yeah.
For our listeners, mainly my mom. Well,
Tony, I'll give you clearance. I'll give you clearance to call mom and let her know.
Call mom.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. That'll do it. Tony, safe travels back. We look forward to your return to the United States. Mauricio, we look forward to your return at some point, too, popping back over here for the holidays. Emerson, we look forward to your return here to the podcast again next week.
Thank you.
And we look forward to your return to listening to the podcast.
Hey.
Yes?
Our Premier League contest.
Oh, that's right.
Don't
my
forget.
Goodness.
Oh, my
gosh.
gosh. Wow.
I was really hoping we would forget.
I'm so terribly sorry. I have done a terrible without a game last week. It kind of threw things here for a little bit of a loop. So I'm going to be doing this on the fly here.
I had to do that before. I was really stressed.
Yeah, This is more about pulling up for the results from last week. So let me get to that.
I lost.
Okay.
I lost. Again.
Let's just go through last week's picks. I had Arsenal over Palace, and it wasn't a comfortable win, but it was a win, so I get the green check mark there. Emerson had Wolves over Burnley.
They were tied most of the game, and then they gave it up in extra time.
And Burnley came away with a victory 3-2, so that is a loss. Mauricio had Bournemouth over Forest, and Bournemouth got the job done 2-0, looking very good right now. Very strong. So Mauricio gets the 3 points. And Tony had Chelsea beating Sunderland, and Sunderland turned tables at Chelsea, a 2-1 victory for Sunderland. So, as a result of this week's results, I have 17 points. Mauricio has 14. Emerson has 11. Tony is on 15. So we have a new leader, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. All right, let's get some picks in here for this week, and I'm going to start with Mauricio first.
This may not sound like the smart pick, but I got faith in them. Back at Anfield, Liverpool versus Aston Villa. Even though they're on 4-game losing streak.
Yeah, okay. I mean, at some point they're going to win, right? You would think. Tony, what do you have?
I'm going with an upset as well. I'm going Forest over United.
Wow.
Ooh.
Okay. I was looking at that game. I was thinking Man U, but it's away. Forest has not been playing particularly well, but so it goes.
Yeah.
Emerson.
Well, nothing is going right for me in the Premier League contest these days. So I'm going to recycle a team. So this will be the last time I can pick the team this season. I'm going Newcastle over West Ham.
All right. Your last chance to take Newcastle.
Yep.
I am taking that same game. First time I will be taking Newcastle this year. Remember, we can only take teams twice throughout the course of the regular season. And so those are our picks. Tony, Mauricio, Emerson, to you, listener, thank you so much. And thank you for getting me back on track with the Premier League contest, Emerson's highlight of the week. Thank you for listening to The Sporting Pod.